Hello, my name is Brooke Wilson. Today I'll be talking about the ethics of corporate governance. In Chapter 14 of Honest Work, the author explores the inner workings of large corporations and examines what their responsibility to society is. Large corporations operate much like the government, yet they don't have a separation of powers, nor are they watched as closely. In class, we've been talking about corporate social responsibility and the differences of the legal obligation and moral obligation of a corporation. Does a corporation have a moral obligation to improve society just because they have the means to do so? Who is in charge of deciding this? The way a corporation is structured influences the way in which these questions are answered. If the company culture promotes profit maximization the most, the decisions made by the company will reflect this view. In the same way, a company that promotes improving the welfare of society will make decisions that reflect this view instead. It is important to realize that company culture can change. For example, Enron started out as a very honest company with integrity and good intentions, yet they were involved in one of the biggest scandals known. The company's motto was respect, integrity, communication, and excellence. The company also had a mission statement that reflected an honest company. Yet these principles changed and resulted in the company going bankrupt and becoming a perfect example of what not to do in the business world. This chapter also talks about the monotonous and pluralist debate. The monotonous and pluralist debate is essentially shareholder versus stakeholder theory. Monotonous views, much like shareholder theory, promotes the maximization of shareholder wealth. This mindset often only looks at short-term benefits of the corporation. They argue that considerations that don't revolve around shareholder wealth reflect inappropriate social and political considerations, violation of innate property rights, and allows managers to act to further their own personal interests. In contrary, the pluralist mindset emphasizes broader stakeholders of the corporation and has been extended by some of the general obligation to act consistently with the general needs of society. This falls in line with stakeholder theory that we've been talking about in this class. Many individuals who hold this view argue that firms will be more successful in achieving their primary objective of enhancing shareholder wealth by adequately reflecting stakeholder interests. Many people fall somewhere in the middle between monotonous and pluralist values. Despite many companies adopting more of a pluralist mindset and doing more socially good deeds, many do it for the wrong reasons. When considering the ethical principle of doing good for the wrong reasons, many companies might fall into this category. Oftentimes, companies use good deeds as a marketing tool to promote their brand image. They might also use their good deeds as tax write-offs. But despite this, wouldn't their actions still reflect a good deed? Is it wrong that these companies are doing these good deeds for their own benefit as well? One example of a company who does good for the good of others and not for themselves is Birkenstock USA Company. Birkenstock is a private company that manufactures shoes. The company has been doing good for 30 years without publicizing it. A group of business students went and assessed the company and found this bizarre. They wondered why the company wouldn't publicize their good deeds in order to improve their brand. The company was even reluctant to disclose the recipients of its philanthropy because they believed it would violate the spirit of good works. The CEO stated that it is inauthentic to brag about corporate goodness in hopes of selling more shoes, and that when you are honest only because honesty pays, you risk forgetting the meaning of honesty. Is it possible that the company's less conventional corporate approach strengthened their brand in the long run? The company's growth is slow but steady, so we must wonder, why is this company able to do good deeds on their own terms? One thing that has a large role is that they don't have shareholder expectations to fulfill. Because the company is still private, they can make decisions based on what they want rather than what investors want. Publicly traded companies have a harder time justifying their actions, oftentimes because the benefits of doing the right thing don't have immediate results. The return on investment is not as easily or quickly seen, which makes it incredibly difficult to convince shareholders that morally good decisions are worthy, especially because it's likely to cost the company more money. One of the largest principles of stakeholder theory is considering how the company's decisions will affect each group of individuals that have a stake in the company. But how might a company benefit from involving these stakeholder groups in company decisions? I asked local Redlands employees to weigh in on questions related to employee involvement in company decisions.
Okay, how much of a say do you have in company decisions, and what about at the corporate level?
Okay, I have no say whatsoever about the company or how it's run. And to talk to corporate, even though we're an employee that's associated with corporate, we have no say with what they do, and we really don't have any communication with them either.
Do you feel like the company would benefit from allowing their frontline employees to have an influence in company decisions?
Yes, because I don't think the corporate workers actually come and live day to day as a cafeteria worker, like frontline, because we do so much stuff that they have no idea that we have to do. And we know the insides and like what would be more beneficial and how we know ways to save money, stuff like that. And since we have no communication with them, they have no idea that we know all of these things. And because they're not actually getting their hands on, it's really upsetting because they actually don't hear any of this or experience any of it.
Are there any ways that your company cares for or invests in their employees?
Yeah, we have this like employee of the month thing, but I just think they pick favorites over and over. That's fine. But sometimes we'll get some Starbucks cards if like say sales were higher that week, or like they'll sometimes congratulate the cashier for getting this many amount of surveys. Or if you sing a lot of songs and you bring a lot of energy, then you'll get like employee of the week, but it's just kind of like almost like a little appreciation card thing. But not really. I don't really feel like we get enough credit for the work that we do and the amount of customers we see. So I don't think we really get as much as we should.
Over the course of this semester, we have read about many instances when corporations didn't do the right thing. From examples like Enron and Ford Pinto, company morals and values often get forgotten when profit becomes the absolute priority. In class on Wednesday, we will be looking at how corporations are held accountable for their actions. I encourage you to think about the following questions for class. Do you think that white-collar crime is prosecuted fairly? And also, do you think that there should be more government regulation in corporations? As business students that are soon to graduate and enter the workforce, issues relevant to corporate governance will greatly affect us. It is important to always remember your own set of values and to find a company that falls in line with these values. Thank you. I look forward to our class on Wednesday.